Hello there folks, and welcome to another video. Now in this one we are going right back in time to the 1920s. Just recently I have joined Historic Sim Studio through their Patreon and Discord channel. These are guys who do mods for Assetto Corsa cars and tracks, and they produce some absolutely fantastic stuff. So I'm going to try and recreate some of the spirit of the 1920s and show you some of the mod cars that these guys have done, like this 1924 Alfa Romeo P2. Look at the absolute detail in these wheels and the cockpit as it swivels round as well. And this 1924 Bugatti T35. All the cars that you get from Historic Sim Studios have a bunch of different liveries, so you can really give each car some nice character as well. Look at the belts holding on the spare wheel there. And we've got this 1925 Alfa Romeo P2. Big exhausts running right along the side of the car there. Again, the detail that these guys have put in. Look at every little rivet. 1924 Delage 2LCV. Quite a big slab of a car this. And again, look at the leather straps holding the boot shut there, or the engine covers I should say. And this is the car that I'm going to be using in this video, this 1925 Bugatti T35, quite a small dinky little car. Look at the dials reflecting in the cockpit there, just the attention to detail is fantastic. So where are we going to race these cars? Well, we're going to go to Tours. 1923, which was the Grand Prix that they held there, and you can see the circuit here is a kind of triangular shape. The total distance of the circuit is 22.83 kilometers, which is 14.19 miles. And the Grand Prix of 1923 was run over 35 laps, so that was a distance of just under 800 kilometers. The start finish is just where I've highlighted with this red arrow here, where it says Tribune on this map, and it runs down the first side northwest to southeast, down what is called the Route d'Amman Strait, which is the RN 158, and then it comes into the first little town, which is La Membrol. I hope I pronounced that right. And from there it's the first turn of a triangle onto the next road, which runs southeast to northwest, and that is the RN 159. A little bit more curves and corners in this straight, and at the end of that straight there is another basically 90-degree corner which takes you on to the final side of the triangle, running southwest to northeast, which is the D48, which also takes you through a second little town called Somblonsay. And then you come to the final 90-degree back onto the start-finish straight. So with it being quite a long lap of 14 miles, and the fastest lap record for your interest is by Pietro Bordino in a Fiat 805, and he did it in 9 minutes and 36 seconds. So we're just going to do a couple of laps here today just to let you see what a great job that the guys at Historic Sim Studios have done, not just on the cars featured here, but the track is also a product of theirs as well. And I shall talk you round that when we're going round and point out some of the attention to detail that they've got there, and how it's obviously a real labour of love as well. We have some old footage of tours in the background here, just to give you a flavour of what you're about to see. Incredible men in their machines here. No traction control, obviously, no anti-lock brakes, only about 3 or 4 gears depending on the car. You really have to start braking for corners very early, and I mean very, very early. So let's take a little trip round tours in roughly 1923 in some cars that are from round about 1924, 1925. So here we go, setting off on the start-finish straight. Start from the back as per usual, and a few small coaches just to get past first. I have shot the replay from several camera angles for your viewing pleasure, and we shall try and switch between these as we do the race. So we're away from the start finish, and we are now motoring down the first straight, which is Route de Man, the RN158. Now this is a fairly straight, if you know what I mean. There are a few little kinks here and there, but basically it's pedal to the metal, straight up to 4th gear, which is the highest that this car goes, and just trying to keep the thing in a straight line as we get past a few other stragglers. Get this number 12 green and this number 14 yellow on the inside. So look at the side of the roads with, obviously there's no barriers or anything, there's just a nice line of trees, some what looks like very nicely cut grass, and a bit of runoff area and a ditch at the side of the road. So it tells you about the danger in those days. And this is just a little kink here with some farm buildings, trees getting quite thick on this section. Isn't that a great view there with these cars kicking up the dust as they're on this dirt track? No tarmac roads in those days as well, of course. And here's me and my little Alfa Romeo. So this is a great view as well, isn't it? Looking out the side of the car just by the spare wheel, and the dirt flying off these cars in front. No doubt coating my goggles full of crap as I'm driving. We're only at the start of the race as well. There's like a little ditch at the side of the road, little drainage ditch. You don't want to be getting a wheel in there. So you can kind of follow the progress as well on the mini map on the top right hand side. So you can see us coming down to this very sharp bend to take us on to kind of side 2 of the triangular track. So we're coming up to the first little town, which is La Membrol, and the guys at Historic Sim Studios have really modelled the town well. Now this is, you see the built up walls here, so this is a kind of little visual clue for you to start braking, or at least start thinking about braking. Here we are coming into the little town now, and it took me a while to work out my braking points for this, even though there's only really about 3 corners, really 3 really bad corners, but you have to start braking so early, and it won't feel like we're crawling around this corner. I'm sure we could probably do it a bit faster, but it didn't want to take any risks at this stage of the race. So off I go onto the second side of the triangle, which is the RN159. Now this side is less straight. You'll see there are more little kinks going on, and there are some nice sort of wooded, fenced in areas, and I think we go past a little lake at some point as well. Got the car up to 4th again. It doesn't take too long to get up through the gears, and just keep it there and feathering the throttle round the corners. There's not really that much changing down, even for corners like this one coming up here. I don't believe, I'll come down to 3rd for this one. You could probably take it in 4th, but it's all about keeping up momentum in these cars. So you can see slightly different vegetation down here, nice little hamlet there as well with some buildings. But I think the detail on the track circuit and the vegetation and the spectators at the side. Here's a little fenced in section coming up, which you could actually see this section in the black and white footage that I was showing you earlier on in this video, the live footage filmed actually at Tours in 1923, and you can very easily see this kind of picket fenced area sliding around here. There's a guy in a very similar Alfa ahead of me as well. Look at the dirt being thrown up in my rear view mirror there. That's not an iPhone sitting on the on the dash. That is a mirror. It could be an iPhone with the battery, the camera turned round the other way. Look at this. This is a nice straight here, and see the grass getting kicked in there by the draft of the cars coming past. Nice and sunny day as well. I didn't want to risk trying this in any sort of wet conditions. I might try that in the future. Now I'm pretty sure once we go through this little section here, there is a lake on the left hand side. Now I've come off at this corner a few times because it's quite deceptive. So let's just keep looking out to the right from this camera angle. Yeah, there's a stretch of water there. Now, this is an interesting part of the circuit. This is a straight bit, really straight, but right at the end of this is a right-hander 90-degree corner. So you've got to get your braking point pretty spot on. And if I remember rightly what was happening in the race, I was having a bit of a battle to get past this car in front of me. And I thought, I'm going to get him before this this right angle corner, and I was concentrating so much. Yeah, this blue car in front of me, I wanted to get him before the corner, which I do. I am with him, but unfortunately I was concentrating so much on that. Here we go. Trying to keep the car straight that I completely forgot to brake and went shooting straight across onto a little runoff road. So slightly embarrassing. There's three guys there saying, what the hell are you doing here? So a quick reverse, kicking up some dirt there, smash into the fence behind me for good measure, and back out onto the actual circuit. So I've lost a few places there. I'll have to get the foot down and get these places back. So now we are on to the third side of the triangle of the circuit of Tours. The third side being the D48 is the road. I don't know if these roads still have these same numbers these days. I'll have to have a look on a map. But this is a fairly short straight, and halfway along we have another town to go through, which is Semblance. I hope I am pronouncing that correctly. And again, it is modelled absolutely beautifully. One thing I should say about Historic Sim Studios, I would highly recommend that you go and sign up to their Patreon so you can get their downloads. They're not free, you do have to do a Patreon, but I think I'm only paying, I don't know, it's a few pounds or a few dollars a month, maybe about £5, and they regularly update all their cars and their tracks, and they're always working on new projects as well. So you get quite a lot for your £5 a month. Now look at the detail in this. I must go to Google Maps and have a little drive through this town just to see if I can recognise any bits nowadays. I bet you can, but this is beautifully modelled. And again, if you look at the black and white footage, some of it that I had earlier on in this video, there's not much footage of Tours on, well, I clipped clip to picket fencing there. There's not that much footage of tours available, obviously, but there's a couple of other things on YouTube, and some of the footage is filmed in this town, so you can really notice how closely they have modelled buildings and fences. They've really done fantastic attention to detail. Absolutely hands off to the guys, hats off I should say, to the guys at Historic Sim Studio. Okay, so we are coming up to the kind of final 90-degree corner on our lap, which will take us back onto the start-finish straight, and we're having a little battle with this guy's. Well, yeah, he's my teammate, or at least if he's not my teammate, he's got the same model of car as me. Thankfully, managed to get this corner right and not go shooting down the escape road. And this is basically back onto that first long stretch straight, which goes tanking down past the start-finish. So we're coming up to the end of lap 1. Really nice views. Look at it. Even got a nice period driver in the car there with the period helmet, which is about as much use as having a handkerchief on your head, and goggles. It just really adds to the immersion of racing these old vintage cars. See the attention to detail on the dials and everything in the cockpit there, all the little rivets in the metalwork. So here we go, straight through the start finish, and we are on to lap 2. Now I think I've kind of broken through the mid-pack, and this is me chasing down the leaders now, so let's see how close we can get to them before the end of this lap. So we've got this guy in the green car ahead of us. We're just chasing him down, kicking up dirt everywhere. I have no idea how these guys manage to see after a while. They have to keep a bunch of wet wipes or something in their cockpit so they can wipe their goggles all the time. Just slowly gaining on him. Here's this little farm hamlet again. And yeah, he's definitely giving us a bit of a run for our money, but I think we've just got slightly more power than him, maybe, or we're eking ahead inches by inches here. We'll soon be coming into the first town, so we want to get past him before then. There we go. And I can't see anybody up ahead just now. However, they will all be slowing down. Look at that view there. Oh dear. Absolutely stunning. Isn't it just incredible what people can do with Assetto Corsa? All these talented guys making these mods. I must try this also in VR sometime, because I always think in VR, if you're racing, I mean, I like VR when you're in a cockpit, a closed cockpit in a car, but I think VR really comes into its own when you are in an open car like this, and you can kind of look around. Now here he is coming right back at me, this guy. He's maybe worked out the braking line better than me. Not quite. I've managed to stay ahead of him. So we're on to what I call the lakeside section, because it's got a lake on it. It just reminds me of what the road is like and how it's twistier than the other two sides of the circuit triangle. So I know I've got to, I'm sliding it round there. It's kind of broadsiding round that corner almost. And let's see if we can get somebody else in our sights to overtake. Oh dear. Oh yeah, there's somebody up there in what looks like a blue livery, so let's go and chase him down. But they've done a lovely job with the TV camera angles on this as well. Really, really evocative stuff. Just catching the side of the dirt with a wheel there and throwing up. Not quite into the little ditch, I don't think, but not far off it. And here we are coming into this little fenced in section. And the force feedback feeling I was getting from these is also really, really well done. It must be very difficult to kind of imagine what the feedback would be like through a massive steering wheel like this, with cars like this on skinny tyres as well. But it's certainly what the Historic Sim Studios have done. Feels to me, what in my mind's eye, what it should be like anyway. Oh, look at that guy go. I think he's really chasing me down. I can see him in the rear view mirror there. So we're coming up to the little bit which goes by the side of the lake. Just through this little wooded copse here. These trees look stunning as well, don't they? And then once we get round here, we're onto this very, very straight section leading down to the 90-degree right turn that I screwed up on the first lap. So let's see if we can get our braking point correct here. Never mind getting our braking point correct, we can actually remember to brake, would be more to the point. Lovely overhead shot, absolutely fantastic. So we're closing in on this chap here. I don't think we're quite going to get him before the turn. We might just be right up with him at the turn though. Yeah, so here we go. Yeah, we've been up decent ground on him. Oh, the back end sliding round there. I'm definitely starting to take that corner a little bit faster than I would. I think if you were to spend some good time with these cars, you would start to figure out what they're really capable of. I don't think I was pushing more than about 80% in this car. So we got past this blue guy, but we do have somebody else in our sights. I think at this point we were up to around 5th or 6th in the race, having started from the back. That's not too bad. Yeah, we've got that red guy is our next target before the start finish, which will basically be the end of these 2 laps. Well, there's a few guys up ahead, look at that. That would be nice to have a few cars in frame for the closing shots. And we're coming down into Sombolense again. With its beautifully modelled church and little chateaus. Great crowds at the side of the streets as well. Yeah, now you see this tight corner coming up here, it's a left-hander. This is featured, right here, this is featured in the black and white footage that is at the start of this video, black and white real life footage. wave goodbye to civilization for the last time. And we're going to get this red car in front of us before the end of the race. We're certainly gaining on him, but there's another car just ahead of him as well. We might get two of them before the end of the race, which would probably have put us up to about fourth, maybe fourth or fifth. Taking one of them on the corner. Oh, I've gone a bit wide though. Get the pedal down now. Yes, we get them both. We can just keep them behind. It's a pretty reasonable, respectful finish for our first outing at Tours in France in 1923. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I do love this vintage cars and circuits. It's really where my passion lies, so now that I've joined Historic Sim Studios, I expect to see quite a lot of their content featured in future videos on my channel. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys, as much as I did. I highly recommend you go and join these guys. I'll catch you the next time. Cheers for now.